The Legend of Zelda is a truly massive game series that contains 18 main series games. At first, it was generally assumed that the games were only thematically connected, that unless specifically stated, no other connection existed. Yet, in the years following Wind Waker's release, people began to theorize that the games were connected after all. In the year 2011, Nintendo put the matter to rest by releasing the Hyrule Historia. This 240-page encyclopedia, published by Dark Horse in the United States, covers each game in depth, has extra artwork, side stories, a manga, and most importantly, the official Nintendo timeline of the events in the Zelda universe. Fans were both vindicated and a little confused. Whereas most people assumed that there were only 2 diverging timelines, Nintendo revealed that there were in fact 3. So for newcomers to the series and Zelda fans alike, I present to you an explanation of the official timeline of The Legend of Zelda. The first section of the timeline is called the Unified or Pre-Split Timeline. It contains all of the events from the creation of the world to the events played out in Ocarina of Time. This timeline contains the Skyward Sword, Minish Cap, 4 Swords, and Ocarina of Time. Like most stories, this one starts at the beginning, when the 3 golden goddesses, Din, Naryu, and Feore, created the world. Ocarina of Time tells us that Din created and shaped the land, Naryu created the spirit of law for the land, and Feore created the spirits who would live within the world. After the gods were finished, they returned and left behind the Triforce, 3 magical triangles that is said to grant the wish of whoever possesses it. After some years, a great demon king named Demise wanted the power of the Triforce for himself. He waged a massive war in order to obtain it. The goddess Hylia took the remaining humans and the Triforce and placed them in the sky with a floating continent. Hylia then returned to battle with Demise and managed to defeat him and seal him deep within the earth. Then Hylia attempted to use the Triforce to destroy Demise once and for all, but goddesses are not able to use the sacred power of the Triforce. In a moment of supreme sacrifice, Hylia gave up her divinity and passed from this world to be reborn as a human. Several years later, a young woman named Zelda awakens to her powers of the reincarnation of the goddess Hylia. Zelda, with the help of her hero, managed to seal Demise within the newly forged Master Sword. With Demise defeated and apparently sealed for good, Zelda vows to return to the surface world and be the protector of the Triforce. Many years pass and rumors of the Triforce's amazing powers begin to circulate. Men become jealous and covetous of its great power. One tribe in particular, practitioners of a dark magic, start a war to obtain it. The Golden Goddesses intervene and seal the interlopers within the Twilight Realm. Raroru, the Sage of Light, builds the Temple of Light around the entrance to the Sacred Realm and seals the temple with the Master Sword. He then locks the Master Sword behind the Door of Time, which can only be opened with 3 spiritual stones and the Ocarina of Time. During this time, the descendants of Zelda have continued to be the protectors of the Triforce. In time, they form the Kingdom of Hyrule and become its royal family. It becomes tradition that each princess born into the royal family receives the name Zelda. During the early days of the kingdom, Hyrule became clouded with dark creatures. A race of tiny people called the Picori came to the aid of Hyrule by granting the hero of men the Picori Blade and the Light Force. Using these new tools, the hero of men was able to seal the darkness within a bound chest. On the 100-year anniversary of the hero's victory, a wind mage named Vati breaks open the bound chest, thinking that the Light Force was inside. When he does not find the Light Force, he turns Princess Zelda into stone. The new hero is entrusted with a broken Picori blade and told to seek the Picori to have the blade mended. Eventually, the hero not only repairs the damaged blade, but also has it changed into the Four Sword, a blade with the power to split its user into 4 people. With this new power, the young hero defeats Vate and seals him away within the Four Sword. Years later, Vati escapes, but a new hero takes up the sword and seals the evil wind mage away again. Generations pass and the kingdom of Hyrule sinks into civil war. a lone mother looking to escape the ravages of the war, gives her infant son to the great Deku tree before succumbing to her wounds. The Deku tree, sensing the child's destiny, agrees to raise the child as a Kokiri until the day that fate comes to claim him. One day, the Deku tree sends for Link. He gives Link the spiritual stone of the Kokiri and commands Link to find the Princess Zelda within Hyrule Castle. Link meets with her, and she tells Link of a coming darkness, a darkness that she senses coming from Ganondorf, king of the Gerudo. In order for Link to protect Hyrule, Link is commanded to gather the other 2 spiritual stones and meet back at the Temple of Time, located within Castletown. With all 3 spiritual stones in hand, Link returns to Castletown, only to find Zelda fleeing from Ganondorf. Quickly, Zelda gives Link the Ocarina of Time and rides off into the distance. Inside the Temple of Time, Link opens the sealed door with 3 spiritual stones and the ocarina. Inside, he finds the Master Sword placed within a stone pedestal. Carefully, he draws the ancient blade and is enveloped within a white light. Unfortunately, this has all been a trick. With Ganondorf unable to open the sealed door in the Temple of Time, or able to remove the Master Sword from his pedestal, he has no access to the Sacred Realm or the Triforce. Instead, he tricks Link into opening the door and removing the Master Sword for him. Once inside the Sacred Realm, Ganondorf attempted to claim the Triforce for himself, but because his spirit is not equally balanced between courage, wisdom, and power, the Triforce split into 3 pieces. Ganondorf retained the Triforce of Power, as that was the aspect he had in greatest quantity, and the other 2 pieces escaped to rest within their chosen champions. The Sacred Realm perverted and changed into the Dark Realm to reflect the heart of Ganondorf, who had touched the Triforce first. When Link regained his senses, he was shocked to learn that he had aged 7 years. The sage Raroru explained to Link that when he drew the Master Sword, he was too young to be given the responsibility of the Hero of Time. So the Sacred Realm had kept Link sealed and safe until his body had finished maturing. Raroru informs Link that he must now go forth and wake up the other 6 sages, so that together they can seal Ganondorf away. Eventually, with the help of the lone Sheikah named Sheik, Link does awaken 5 of the remaining sages. As he finishes this, Sheik reveals herself as Princess Zelda and the 7th sage. As soon as Zelda reveals herself, Ganondorf swoops in to capture her. Link hurries to Hyrule Castle and confronts Ganondorf, but before they can battle, Ganondorf reveals that he is the possessor of the Triforce of Power. Zelda is the possessor of the Triforce of Wisdom, and Link is the possessor of the Triforce of Courage. And all Ganondorf must do to have the entire Triforce is defeat Link and take his Triforce from him. Link and Ganondorf lock in an epic struggle in which Ganondorf is defeated. But before the final blow can be struck, Ganondorf uses his power of the Triforce and becomes the monstrous Demon King Ganon. Here is where we come across the first split within Ocarina of Time. If Ganon defeats Link, continue with the Downfall timeline. Link defeats Ganon, and with the help of the 7 sages, Ganon is sealed within the Dark Realm. Zelda, using the power of her Triforce of Wisdom, returns Link to his childhood so that he may prevent the Sacred Realm from opening. She sends him back to just before Link met with the young Princess Zelda for the first time. Link convinces Zelda that Ganondorf must be dealt with now and prevents the Sacred Realm from ever opening. The events following Child Link after preventing the Sacred Realm from being opened continues the Child timeline. And the events following Ganon's defeat by the Hero of Time as an adult continue the Adult timeline. Thus concludes the first part of the timeline of Legend of Zelda. Join us next time when we talk about the Downfall timeline. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it.